Interaction is one of the core functions in games. The amount of interaction varies from game to game. It can be as simple as knocking a coin or a mushroom power-up out of a block, to something more complex like being able to engage in dialogue with NPCs as well as navigate and interact with the world around you. For the purposes of this game, we'll be using it for a large variety of features: world interaction, item pickup, NPC communication, and probably more. Keep in mind, everything you see here is still prototyping and subject to change. In order to interact with the world, I needed a way to determine if a player is in reach of said interactable things. For this, I started by casting a ray from the direction or location the camera is facing out a set amount of length I felt would accurately simulate an arm's length reach. In the cast formula, I have a set value for arm length. I plan to have this change depending on player model size. In the game, I plan to have several sizes a player can be: small, medium, and large, depending on the race they play. I have plans for 2 small races and 1 large race. The rest will be medium-sized, for the time being. As these characters will have their cameras higher and lower, I will need to adjust the arm length appropriately so larger model characters don't have to crouch to pick up objects and smaller characters won't have to jump to reach up higher things as well. Well, I could do this for roleplay effect. I don't like the idea of this being too overly immersive. I may change this when I get to testing the feel of things with height differences. For now, though, everything is going to be done with the focus of a medium arm length character until I get further in development. As you can see in the footage here, a green line coming out from my camera's perspective is the cast I am performing. This line happens whenever I press the interaction key for debugging purposes. Wherever I look, it'll extend out, and as long as it doesn't touch an object that is interactable, nothing will happen at this time. Let's give this ball an interactable property. For this example, we'll give it some text, and we're going to call it a silver key. Adjacent to it, we have this silver wall. We'll give that some text too, and call it the silver door. Now, once we load into the world, when we walk up next to these objects and we get an arm's length reach of them, you'll see some text appear. Here you can see that this is the silver key, and over there we have the silver door. Now, they still don't do anything when I try to interact with them, but as you can see, the line is touching them here, and clearly, when the text disappears, the line is gone. Now, let's make this wall into an actual door. We'll drag onto it the door property. We'll go ahead and set it here that it requires a silver key to access and open, and now we'll load back in and try to interact with it. As you can see, the door is now interacting with the debug menu down below, printing out that it requires a key to open. So we definitely have some progress here, but it still won't open. We'll need a key for that. So as you can probably guess, my next step is going to be turning the silver key into an actual key. We'll drag this key function onto it and give it the same text as the door required for the key. We'll call it a silver key here. And then we'll load back into the world, pick the key up, walk over to the door, and there you go. Success! We now have a door that opens and closes. Although it is opening a little odd here, as you can see. That's because the object here isn't having its axis on the edge like a door would be, it's in the center. So with an actual door, this won't be an issue. You'll see that later though. The way I have this coded, I can give specific NPCs a key so they can open and close a door, keeping it locked, forcing the player to either have to get the key from the NPC, or figure out an alternative way to open the door. This also means that other NPCs that don't have this key won't be able to go through the door, and will have to figure out alternative means to get through it. Pretty handy if there's a spell or a way that a player can make a door lock behind them and prevent NPCs from chasing them. Now that we've gotten doors out of the way, let's talk a bit more about why the interaction text and doors features are separate. I love secrets. Pressing a false off-colored brick in a wall and watching a secret chamber open, or pulling a book on a shelf and watching a case rotate open revealing a passageway is always a rewarding feeling. So naturally comes that we wouldn't want text to display on everything interactable. Speaking of secret switches, let's set one up. Let's take that gold cylinder on the right and turn it into a secret switch. Switches pretty much do what you would expect, control whether an object in your world can either rotate, like a bookshelf, or raise up and down like a gate or a wall. Same principles for the setup. I just drag the switch component onto the switch, select the target, it's supposed to rotate and raise, set it to rotate if it's supposed to rotate, or leave it alone if it raises and lowers, set the amount it's supposed to go up and down. It also has an animation field if you need the switch to do something specific, like indent itself or rotate up and down like a lever or turn on its side. For this demonstration, I don't have that set up as I'd have to model an animation for this switch. I can also decide if I want the switch to be reusable or not, meaning that if a player opens a wall or something, they can't accidentally close it on themselves and it'll stay open. Let's go ahead and do that here. Now we'll walk over to the switch, give it a press, and lo and behold, the door raises up, revealing the secret passage behind it. And if we keep pressing it, you'll see that it can't go back down, it's a one-time use. Now that the quick demo of how this stuff is assembled is done, let's see how it looks in a nicer looking environment. I built a quick dungeon sandbox to test mechanics out in. A few things of note with this dungeon that you're seeing here. These are free assets on the Unreal store, and everything you see here probably isn't the stylization that I'm going to be going for with my game. Currently, I am planning on something more focused on the low to mid polygon style with cell shading. A few reasons for this. I'm not a big fan of hyper-realistic graphics. They tend to age poorly, and they cost way too much for my budget. It also takes a more significant amount of time to model these on my own, animate, and rig them as well. I really prefer the idea of nailing down a good style that may not be this generation, but ages like a fine wine. Best way I can think of to describe the game is Mega Man Legends with quality texturing and an environment art style similar to the work of Gendy Tartakovsky, famous for Primal and Samurai Jack. More towards Primal style, with the noise mats for environment and textures that you see on grass, plant life, walls, etc. With regards to the dungeon we see in front of us, apart from the demo, I have created blueprints for all the systems you see within it. A blueprint is a combination of these things in one neat package that you can just drag and drop into the world and alter as you see fit. This means you can change the static mesh on objects easily, meaning it's a different type of door while still keeping the same principles of a door and locks without affecting the others. Basically, it's a handy way to get things done in an engine quickly. So now that you've seen the level layout here, let's kind of go through what it's like in the actual sandbox itself. I've got cell doors on the walls here that you can interact with, open and close, going into certain areas. So if we want to, we can even go into the cell here. See the moon out there. Really like the lighting system in Unreal 5. Can I get out of the cell? Oh, there we go. I might have to work on that a bit. Then we've got this cell door over here that we can't seem to open. That's because it's locked. Now, in-game might have some indications, like it was telling you it would be locked, and some audio, but for the sandbox, we don't have that right now. But because I know what's going on, we'll have to go explore this wing of the little dungeon here, where we find our key. Now, I know it's not a key, it's a candelabra, but you'll have to take my word that it's a key. Now that we've grabbed the key, we'll run back over here. And then we can go ahead and open up this area here. Voila. We're inside, we've got this neat little torture area that's going on, which I'll probably be setting up some extra stuff for eventually, but just for testing right now and making it look nice. That's what we've been working with. And then we have this area over here, which, you know, it seems like it's just kind of a standard wall. But the secret passage, actually, as you can see, it opens it up right there, revealing a whole new area. So we'll head on down to the winding chambers, and here we are in this neat little area. And I think we'll leave it there for now, just to kind of show this off. So editing takes a lot of work, and especially in the format that I'm doing. So future videos might be a little bit more raw, less edited, less put together, more what I'm doing in the moment of it, just because 20 plus hours is a lot of time I could be working into the game instead of editing videos, and at this stage, I'd rather be doing that. The next video I'll be putting out is going to be dealing with weapons and combat, melee combat. As you can imagine, the melee system is a rather large section of the game and a core section of the game, so getting it put together is going to take quite a bit of time. If I do a video, it might be more of just what I'm doing during a workflow or discussing some of the mechanics that I've featured in a rawer format, but I will see you then when that comes up. Thank you for watching.